Hello there and welcome to another Andy's Shed Live. This is Series 9, Episode 18 for Sunday the 7th of November 2021. Hello there everybody, welcome to the show. It is Sunday evening once again. We are live once again here this evening. I'm just looking, I've got a bit of a lag there tonight. Getting myself organised, as always on a Sunday night. I am never organised, as you should probably know by now. But yeah, here we are. Get myself plugged in. Oh, I'm unplugged at both ends, hang on. It's been a bit of a busy weekend this weekend. We're out and about yesterday, as the patrons already know. They'll have already seen what we were up to yesterday. So, chat on the silly top chat, put it on the live chat. That's better. Right, there we go. If that will sit up there like that, we might actually get somewhere then. Who have we got here today? We've got Jimmy, we've got Wesley, we've got Christopher, we've got Fat Hobby, we've got Dominic, all the usual suspects there once again today. So nice to see you all. As you can see, I'm surrounded by stuff and boxes and things as per usual. Nothing ever changes, does it? So yeah, here we are once again. So has everybody had a good week? I've had a good week. We've been quite busy this week. A few things have turned up this week. A few things have arrived. It says that he's surreptitiously moving something off the desk for later. Nothing overly exciting has arrived. Ivory telephone. It's not overly exciting, is it? It's an ivory telephone. Yeah. It says underneath it's an 8746, but I'm not sure that it was originally. I think originally it was made in 1980 though, that one, so it's quite a late one. And another ivory telephone turned up this week. So we've got two of them that have arrived. At the moment, that camera's not in a very good place. There you go. We've got two of them that have turned up. There you go. You can see them now. So yeah, two ivory phones have arrived this week. I've not had a chance to have a look at them or anything yet, actually. Both quite good because they have both got cords on them. In theory, look. So they should, says he, hopefully work. That'd be good if they do, wouldn't it? Snip the little cable tie thing off on. And then we might even give them a try. Because they've both got cable ties on at the moment. So if you hear a lot of banging outside, there are fireworks going off here tonight. Whatnot. Right. Got rid of the cable ties. So yeah, there they are. Two 746s, both Mark II cases. One's got slight suntan, one doesn't seem to be suntanned at all. They are what they are. Basically, they look fairly complete. Just untangling. As we go. Where the hell did the camera go? There we go. That's better. You can see now. So yeah, there they are. They are what they are, as I say. and they have got cords on them. So that is all pretty good. Shall we have a look inside and see what's happening? See what's happening on the inside. No, they're not bigger on the inside. Sorry, but we will have a little look on the inside. I've got super strong tape here at the minute that I can't break. I deliberately buy unbranded sticky tape normally, because the branded stuff you can't break it, it's too strong. So I deliberately buy the unbranded stuff, and this does seem to be quite strong. So there you go, got that off anyway today. So yes, so let's have a little look inside of this one for a start. So I'll undo the screw in the back. Is it going to be retained as it should be? I think it is. Will it lift off without taking the finger wheel off? That's the other question. Yes, it will, just about. So there we go. What's inside? Let's have a little look. Well, bell coils with nothing written on them to tell me how many ohms they are. But assuming it's an 8746, and we don't know because there's nothing on the base of this one. Assuming it's an 8746 and it's wired like an 8746, basically wired like a converted phone, except for the fact that there's no resistor in there, because you don't need one if they're 2000 ohm bell coils as opposed to 500 ohm bell coils. But yeah, it is what it is. So that's it. That runs at about the right speed, it would seem. So that all looks alright. There's no reason why that shouldn't work, I don't think. So I might put the top back on that one. Top's gone on that one relatively easily. That doesn't normally happen. Don't know what's going on there. Don't normally go on that easy. I'll just put the screw back in the back of that. Like that. And I'll put the cover back on for now. So that one should, and I do say should, be good to go. So that one should be alright. Alright, just closing a few things. Right. Right, there we are then. Right, I think, hang on, what's happened there? There we go, I'm back. So, last one. That should be okay. And interestingly, this one has got the handset on the other side to what they normally do, as has the other one that I've got here. So this is now leading me to question what side the handset should be on. What side should the handset cord be on, and what side should the line cord be on? Should they be that way round, or should they be the opposite way round? Should the handset cord be on the left like that, or should it be on the right? Somebody let me know. I'm sure there'll be somebody out there who knows. What side should they officially be on? I know they can be on either, but what side should they officially be on? Right, we'll wrap that one up a minute. That's one, and we'll have a look at this other one then. So here's the other one. So again, we will unscrew the screw. That one came out a bit better, it's got a better spring on it, that one. It doesn't want to come off over there, that's it. This one's definitely got 2000 ohm bell coils because it says it on them. And this one has got the things swapped over the way you would expect them to be, with the curly cord on the left. No, curly cord on the right and line cord on the left. If you look at it like that, you see. Again, it appears to be all as it should be. I believe. Hang on. Yep, the blue of the line cord is there, but it can be there, yeah. Yeah, so again, that one all looks alright inside. Does the dial work on it? Yeah, it does. That's a little bit loose, that could be tightened up, I think. But yeah, again, all looks okay. So that's a good one. So we'll put the top back on that one. Right. This one will be more difficult to get on. Got a feeling. But it has gone. It has gone. So I'm doing well today. They don't normally go on that easy. Easily, yeah. So there you go. That's another one. That one though has not got a centre. Now I have got some of those now, so I'll find an opal to put on it. It's not got one at the moment, so it's another one that needs a few bits. That is right. So we'll just wrap that one up. There we go. So that's two of those. And also arrived this week is a better phone. American 500. SC500 DOM 79, so I'm guessing it was made in 1979. If I can get that on the camera and show you, can you see that? And it's an interesting one because it was made by Stromberg Carlson. I don't know if you can see that or not. Can you see that? Stromberg Carlson. So that's what this one is. And they're just way, way, way better than British phones. And this one's been fitted with a British line cord as well already. One thing I've been asked about these is how do you get the dial off? How do you get the finger wheel off these? It's different to a British phone. Basically what you do is you go all the way round as if you're like dialing a 0, yeah? Then somewhere here you find a little, oh no, you don't do it. Hang on, let me get this right now. You've got to find a little hole that you can, is it that way that it goes? I'm sure it's that way it goes. You go around like that, press down, and then that's it. Yeah, and then it falls off. Yeah. So when you're putting it back on, you put it back on. You sort of put it where you want it to put it back on, and then go that way a bit, and then sort of turn it, and you should be able to lock it on like that. I think that's got it. But to get it off, then what you do is you turn it as if you're dialing a 0. Then near the finger stop you'll find a little tiny hole you can put a pin in. Put a pin in the little tiny hole, and then turn it a bit more, and it will then turn a bit more. You have to use a bit of force. Take the pin out, let it go, and it's now loose. It will just drop off. Okay? Did you see that? And to get it back on, you sort of fit it flat and turn it anti-clockwise till it clicks, and then it's back on. Yeah? So I'll do it one more time. Dial a 0, yeah. Hold it there. Go as far as you can. You can go. It'll go a little tiny bit further. Then somewhere in the edge here of what would on a British phone what would be the edge of the dial opal, there's a little hole for a pin to go in. You push that pin in, and it actually presses down on a bit of metal in the back of the dial. There. Turn a bit further, like that. Let it go back, and you can now lift it off. Okay. When you're putting it back on, put it on level, then turn it backwards, and it clicks into position. And that's how you get them on and off. But to get the case off, you don't need to take them on and off like that, because getting the case on and off on these is very easy. All you have to do to get the case on and off with one of these is take a couple of screws out the back. at the bottom rather, and there's one screw at the back, sort of more or less in the middle, and these should be retained. See, it's loose now, but it's retained that, and one at the very front edge but to one side, and again it's retained. Flip the phone back over, obviously take the handset off, and the case just lifts straight off like that without any messing about. And to put it back on, it's as simple as that. Now, the BT designers, or the GPO designers as they were at the time, could learn a thing or two from that. So yeah, that's how it goes. This one has had a little modification in what they call the mouse hole at the back. This one's had a 746 type line code grommet stuffed in the mouse hole. But there it is. It's a late-ish model, this one, because it's not got the old-fashioned Potter network, which the older ones have. They have a box with all the telephone gubbins inside the box, what they call a network. But this one ain't got that. Now, I'm not sure this is entirely wired up right, because they've wired up the red, the white and the green cores on this, and I think they should have wired up the red, the white and the blue. So I'm not sure this is wired up exactly the way it should be. I think they've probably got this wrong for the modern system. So I don't think it's quite right, but we can find out, I guess, by testing it. So, because of course the thing is, pre-plug and socket in the UK we did use the red, the white and the green, but now we use the red, the white and the blue. So I think they've wired this to a pre-plug and socket type arrangement with a plug and socket cord. But in a minute we'll see. We'll try it. Whoops, dropping things as usual. It's quite everything piled up. Right, so I shall just take this and we'll try plugging it in and see what happens with the red, white and green wired up. Then we'll wire up red, white and blue, and we'll see what happens again. So I've just got to go down here because I've not got a conveniently placed socket. Right. So that's wired into my PBX and 23. So there it is. If I now hold down the switch hooks, I think it's on hook, and then I dial 23 on the other phone. Well, it rings. Does it actually work? Yeah, when I blow down it, I'm blowing down the microphone on this, on the 500, it's a lot quieter than blowing down it on the 706 clone that's on the desk. So it rings with the green, but would it ring with the blue? Because I'm pretty sure that blue ought to be the one that's in use. So let's swap them over those and try it, because I'm interested to know. So that green is on there. And now I'm going to put the blue on. My theory is it'll still work. I'm just going to bend those up a bit so they're not touching the case there. Right, so I've now swapped it over for the blue. Let's try again. And it still works, of course. So now let's have a listen again. Exactly the same. So I think that should be the blue that's wired up, not the green on there. So we will alter that somewhat. We'll wire the blue one in instead of the green one. Not there. I'm going to put a bit of tape around it for now that I had a minute ago. There we go. Right, so now I'm going to stuff all that back together. So what I've got to do, of course, is now put that case back on, which goes on like that. Make sure we don't get any of the wires down here caught in it. That's it. It's back on straight away, no messing about. Oh, and the retained screws have fell out, so maybe they're not retained as well as I thought they were. One at the front, one at the back. There we go. So that's it, they're back on. It's a great shame about this, but it's got a little chip out the front there. And I've seen this before on 500s, and I think it's because the cases are like wafer thin. I don't know if you can see that. Look how thin that plastic is. It's really, really thin compared to some of the British ones, so they're not as good in the case department. And of course I can't do my acetone thing on this because I've not got any of this coloured plastic, because it's rare in this country, this pinky colour. But there we go, that's the 500. So the 500 is working. Right, what is everybody saying? And he says, did you get the emails that I sent? Yes, I've got them, Christopher, but I'm not going to get to them probably today. But I have got them. We'll probably get to them next week, because I've not got the pictures and things sorted out yet today. Says he also says he's going to Geelong for his holiday. Geelong's where he films his goods trains. Excellent, Christopher. Enjoy your holiday. Or vacation. Do you have holidays in Australia, or do you have vacations like they do in America? I'm not sure. Wesley says, the way around it should be is the handset cord on a GPO phone should be on the right when viewed from the rear. Handset cord on the right when viewed from the rear. Which means on the left when you look at it from the front. Yes, that's the way around I think they should be as well, Wesley. It's not the way around I'd have made them though, personally, because personally I never put a telephone down that way round. I always put a telephone down that way round. Always. Because unless I force myself, I now force myself to put them down that way round. But I always do it that way, personally, because I always pick a receiver up, a handset up with my right hand, because I'm right-handed. I pick it up with my right hand like that, and then I transfer it to my left hand, so I go, hello, hello, and then transfer it back and put it down again. It's just natural to do that, and I've always done that. Who picks it up with the left hand when they're right-handed? Who picks anything up with the left hand when they're right-handed? So, yeah, I've always done that. I've always picked it up like that, I've done that, and gone, hello, and then on that, put it back down again. So to me, they should be that way round, I think. But you're saying, technically, it's that way around, because the line cord would go in that side, and curly cord, which an American one goes in the side of it, would go in this side here somewhere. That's what you're saying, isn't it, Wesley? Keith G says, yes, I agree with you, Wesley. Oh, Penfold's arrived. Says, hi everyone, I'm late. Hi Penfold. Yeah, very good question, Wesley. Is Penfold indeed on dry land? Yes, he says he's at home now. Wow. Hey, steady on now. Steady on. All this being at home business. Christopher says he's found out where his railway GEC 711 war phone came from. It came from Thornlie train station in Western Australia, he says. Wesley says, I'm right-handed, but I pick the receiver up with my left hand and dial with my right hand. I dial with my right hand as well, but I still pick it up with my right hand and transfer it to my left hand and then dial like that, and then put it down. Does anybody else do what I do there, or am I weird? Go on. Hey, does anybody else do that? And then that? Dominic says, I have always tended to pick it up with my left hand. Oh, you're all ganging up against me now. Right, I'll shut up now, because apparently I am weird doing it like that. Right. I used to work on a switchboard at the Tramway Museum at Crouch in Derbyshire, and the guy that was in charge of looking after the telephones, because it was an old Strowger phone system that they had there, was a guy called John Markham. And he always used to come into the office, and he always used to walk up to me and pick the phone up off the hook, because it would be like that, and he would always just walk up to me and go, greetings, and turn it round and walk back out the office again. So now I know why. Right, I shall unplug this. Hello, I've got it tangled up. How have I managed that? Oh, that's it. Right. Right, just sorting out cords and that now. Well, that's another one. Another one sorted. Right, that can go back behind me where it was. Right. Okie dokie. We're getting there. What time is it? 18:40. Missed out on my pizza so far today. Yeah, gonna be a late pizza today. Right. There is still more to come today, still more questions and things that people have asked and stuff that we're going to be sorting out. Remember, if you want to get involved with this, you can do. If you want to drop us an email or anything after the show, feel free to do so. You can best do it, if you don't know the email address already, by filling in the contact us form on the website, andyshed.copress.net, and then I will contact you back with an email that you can send photos to and that. I don't mention it on here, because if I do mention it, I get loads of processed chapped ham and pork, i.e. spam. So that's the way to do it. andyshed.copress.net is the one to go to. And remember also, if you want to carry on the discussion about which way around you should place the handset, why not carry it on the forum? gpotelephones.proboards.com is the forum if you want to pop in there and have a chat when we're not on air with this show, of course. Right. Shall we crack on a bit further? Eh? Shall we do a bit more? Yeah. Right. Dominic asked a question, and it was a very good question. He says, I've got a 200 series phone, he says, and it doesn't seem to fit very well on the bell set. He says the screws don't seem to be quite long enough to make it what they now call a king pyramid in modern parlance. So what Dominic's basically got is one of these. Now I've just found this one out of the archive. I know it's got a cap missing on the handset, but this is one I've just found. And interestingly, I've got a similar problem, Dominic, because if I can get this on the desk, because it's heavy, this one is not properly fitted to the base either. This screw is loose, look, and doesn't seem to want to fit. Now, is that the problem that you've got? That you've got a screw that's loose like that and doesn't want to fit? So what I'm going to do is take it apart and have a look why it doesn't want to fit. So that one is obviously loose, not fitted. This one is fitted, but not by much. Then the drawer comes off, and you see, oh crikey, look at that in there. I believe that may be, if we get the dust off it, a diagram. Well, we do a bit of archaeology. I think that's probably going to be savable, that, you know. It says it's a telephone number 1232, not 1. Does. Right, now those two little screws that I've got here. Now, Let's see if they now will fit back, because you see they should be long enough to screw into that. If this goes down flat to that piece now, but the thing is there's a ridge around it, so that's got to go inside that ridge, which it does. Now that should now screw into there. And that just constantly goes around and doesn't screw in, and the reason it doesn't seem to want to screw in is because that insert comes up. Right, let's see if I can unscrew this. Screw. Right, there's a screw, and there's a little insert on this side that it screws into, you see. There's that thing that it screws onto, and it's a bit like the screw on the back of a 746, in that this thing has got a screw thread on that end of it, but on that end of it hasn't, you see. So, and the screw thread on here is wider than the neck of the screw there, so it will screw onto that, and then this will just jiggle about on the back of it. And I think these metal pieces are by right supposed to be glued in to the Bakelite, so it kind of holds it in place, I think. But what we want to know now is, does this screw actually screw in to here? And the answer is yeah, it does beautifully. But what I think the problem is, I think this is bent. Can you see this here? I think this has been whacked and bent inwards too much. At some point I think it should be more outwards like that, and I think that'll allow it to screw down. So let's put that back on there, put the screw back in from the other side. That's it. And now we will put that back on there now. And I think this should now screw together. Does it though? And the answer still seems to be no. So what is going on there? Why does that not hold together? So to answer your question, Dominic, were you doing it wrong, or is this just a fault of the design? It seems to be a fault of the design. because these are the special screws that go through the whole lot basically, and hold it all onto the base. But these should stick out enough to get into it. But what I think's happening is these screws in the corners that actually hold the feet on are stuck up too much on the nuts, and so they are stopping this going down fully and engaging where it should. I'm also going to open the drawer a bit while I fit this as well, see if that helps. Ah, that one's gone in. And that one has now gone in. But I bet I can't shut the drawer fully. No, I can't. And I've heard this is a thing with these. I've heard this as a thing before. What's happened is, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the front edge of that drawer is now slightly too high to close fully. And I have heard this is a thing that happens. So you end up with the drawer sticking out the front like that, rather than being underneath, rather than going underneath. So if you try and do it with the drawer fully closed, if you try and fit those screws with the drawer fully closed, there's about a millimetre or a couple of millimetres that this bottom plate is away from the base of the bell set if you do it with the drawer fully closed, and that couple of millimetres stops the screws from biting. So what you have to do, it would seem, is open the drawer, then fit the base plate, then close the drawer just as far as you can, and it doesn't actually go all the way in. If you look under there like that, it doesn't go all the way in. Right, what's everybody saying in the chat about this? I've not been looking at the chat, so I'm going to have a look at it now. Dominic says, I think the insert being loose sounds right. Maybe it could be tucked in just to test. Wesley says, I've got a 162 on a bell set. I can remember it being a bit of a chore to get the base fitted satisfactorily. And Dominic says, mine wouldn't tighten up with the drawer out either. It says it wouldn't tighten up with the drawer out. Either. Well, the only other thing I can think of then, Dominic, is that the screws underneath are probably too tight in on yours. So if I take this off of here again, see, you can see how far open the drawer is then. Now I've taken that off, you can see how far open that drawer is. You see, that's where it would be normally, but it can't be because of the overhang on the bell set. So I'm now thinking very tangled up here. I'm now thinking the problem is something to do with these screws that hold it all together. If they have been screwed in somehow too far. Because they're the key that holds it all together. I need a bigger screwdriver to get them apart. So I'll just go and see if I can find a bigger screwdriver to get those apart. Be back in just a moment. I'm back. Right, this is a good hello? What's happened there? This is a good opportunity to use one of my magic restored screwdrivers, my vintage restored screwdrivers that I got from Hedge Windmill. Is it big enough? Could do it being a bigger one, but it will do it. Just about. I think because these things, see, undo everything, because when you take them out, the bell set comes apart like that. So that's these screws here, these fancy screws. Take them apart, bell set comes apart, and the cover comes off as well. What's that? No, that's the thing for the belt set. As you can see, this phone's not been restored. Got the state of it in there. I'm going to put that thing for the belt set back in there, but you can now see what these fancy screws are like. And if I can unscrew one out of here, that is what they should be like, Dominic. It should be like that, okay? Should be like that. A close-up view of it. There you go. As you can see, it's got two different threaded sections on it. The smaller threaded section actually goes into the phone. The wider threaded section actually threads into the belt set base. Yeah? So that small bit threads into there until it'll go no further. Yeah, and the other bit threads into there. But what I'm wondering is if you can go too far with it. Because if you go too far, you go beyond the threading. But of course, when you put the next screw into there, which will be one of these, and turn it, it'll make that want to turn anyway and go beyond the threading. So that's going to happen anyway, I reckon. So going to say here, I think that should go over there, obviously. These are a first class pain in the butt to put together, they really are. And then that goes on there. And then it should all sort of line up and screw together. Yeah? But perhaps don't screw them quite so far in. But then seems they don't engage the bit in the telephone, so you've got to screw as far as they'll screw. Until it all tightens together. And when it does tighten together, these will be almost flush, but not quite. Now the thing then is, say, that base piece then kind of you almost certainly cannot open the drawer. So if you undo the drawer, that has now in theory got to go in that hole. And it's a fiddle, it's a real faff. Again, it's a terrible design. I mean, this would be a lot easier if these screws were not retained, because you could take them out and see where the hole is that you're trying to put them into. That one's gone in now. So if that one's gone in, this one should also go in. But what I will say is, it doesn't catch very easily. And now I can't do it again. These screws need to be longer. These ones on this bottom piece almost certainly need to be longer. Because they just don't catch. They will not catch these. The only thing I can suggest you can try is to undo these a little bit. But obviously not so far that all the foam falls apart. Just undo them that little bit. But I still think these are making this stand off here too far. So that now is screwed in there quite easily. And that one has also screwed in quite easily this time, and that's got it. But again, you can't shut that drawer all the way. There's just not that clearance on it. If you can see that there, there's just, you see, it's just not got the clearance. If I hold it up to the edge, it's about 2 mil over. But I've heard that before. I've heard the drawer doesn't shut all the way when you put the bell set underneath. I have heard that story before, that the drawer sticks out the front. So I think that's how they're supposed to be. So I think the way to do it, Dominic, is to screw it together with those fancy screws except for the base plate, but then undo those fancy screws about 3 turns, basically just enough so the phone doesn't all fall apart off the bell set, so it's all together. Then try and put the base on, but do it with the drawer open. Jim says, I wonder if loosening the rubber feet screws might help. I think that may also help, Jim, because like I say, those screws that hold the feet on stick up beyond the nut, and I think they're stopping it going down. But then if you did that, that would mean that the base, this piece, was even closer into the bell set, so the drawer would definitely not shut then. You know, it won't be a couple of mil clearance, it'd be more like 4 mil clearance probably, or lack of clearance of 4 mil to be more precise. Christopher says, I'm thinking of getting a GPO 162 telephone with a dial one day. I have 2 162 CB telephones that are fully working. I wouldn't get one if I were you, Christopher. From seeing the faff that I've had with this one, they're not very good. But yeah, yeah, I had a bit of a mess. I've got 3 of these phones, and the other 2 are not on bell set bases. So I might try and put another one on a bell set base. I think one of them was when it came, but the cord between the bell set and the phone was dodgy. This cord that goes from the back of the phone and into the bell set was in very poor condition, so I took it off and just made it a standalone 200 series. Jimmy says, Andy, what numbers are the American war phones from the 70s? Yes, good question, Jimmy. Do you mean, got to grab a camera, do you mean, if I can point the camera at it, do you mean those, Jimmy? I can't get the camera any further than that because it's on a wire, but do you mean those? Is that what you're what you're meaning? If it is those that you're meaning, I'm not sure what model number they are, actually. Does this one come off the wall? No, it doesn't. It's screwed to the wall. Sure, somebody will tell us though. Somebody will know. Shall I Google it and tell you? Bear with me one moment and I'll try and tell you. It's a 554 apparently, made between 1956 and 1984. The one that came before them was a 354 made between 1947 and 1956. It was a 354. But there are also things called space savers, which are a strange thing with a sort of dial remotely placed on a stalk on the top of it. I see Christopher's beat me to it and put it in the chat anyway. Christopher said it's a 554. Yes, I agree. It's a 554, and they're quite nice phones actually. They are quite nice phones. I quite like them. I quite like the American phones. I don't generally collect foreign phones, but the 554s and the other 500 series phones, and the actual 500 themselves and that, I do have, because the American phones I find quite good. Thanks to my restored screwdriver for doing its thing there. Still feels a bit tacky, the varnish on that actually. It's been done about a fortnight. Right. So I think going back to, oh hang on, what have I done there? Press the wrong button again. I think going back to these things, I think the answer is, Dominic, just to undo those fancy screws on the inside slightly. Just undo them slightly, 2 or 3 turns, just so it doesn't all fall apart. Then you should be able to get enough of them sticking out the bottom to be able to fit the thing. But the drawer won't close fully. The drawer will stick out the front like that. But I'm pretty sure that is normally the case on 200s that have got the bell set on the bottom. I'm pretty sure the drawer does normally stick out like that on them. Let's see, this one all needs restoring. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they are usually like that. With that drawer stuck out the front. Does everybody agree? Wesley, do you agree? Is the drawer normally stuck out the front like that? Dominic says, I think I'll give it another go. I think my one is a lot worse fitting than others. Yeah, maybe something's bent, because that bottom thing where it fits, oh, hang on, wrong camera, this one. This bottom plate where it fits, it's got a screw there and a screw there that's in these metal things that stick out from this metal chassis part here. If they're bent, particularly if they are bent downwards, i.e. that way, then you're going to have a real problem fitting it. So make sure that those little tabs around that screw are not bent. But the other thing, like somebody just said, is also try taking the feet off. Try taking the little machine screws with the nuts off. Try taking the feet off and then doing it, and see if that helps, because I think it might. Okay, right. I think we're getting there. I think we've sorted that one. Let's see if I can get this back on the floor now. Whoa, where it was. Yeah, the muck in that phone. It really does need restoring, that one, doesn't it? Look at the state of the desk is left. And dear me. Yeah, right. So I think we've cracked it there for today. I think that is probably more or less it for today, unless anybody's got any questions or anything while I try and clean up slightly. Dominic says, thanks for having a look. No problem, Dominic. We are here to help. To our members, we are the 4th emergency service. Where have you heard that before? Yeah, talking of helping. Still got Christopher's dial here. I've still not got it into the Australian 400 series because the dial it's got, what I suspect is a British dial 21, is still glued into it. So, any ideas on how to unglue the dial from the Bakelite case of a Australian 400 series phone without either damaging the Bakelite of the case or the metal or plastic bits of the dial, please let me know. Christopher says, my 162 telephones I have don't have the drawer on. So yeah, some don't have the drawer, Christopher. But you should be able to fit the drawer to the bottom like I've just done. It should be possible to do, but like you say, they don't all have them. Wesley says steam to melt the glue. Wesley, is that what you're thinking? I'll give it a go. I must admit I haven't tried that, so I'll give that a go. That's something that I've not tried. Yeah, so we'll try that. So I want to put this dial 12 in because it's quite a nice one. It's not like a British dial 12. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of different with the black. With the sort of, I'm trying to decide if they're white numbers or silver numbers on a black background. I can't decide if they're white or silver. Christopher, are those numbers white or silver? Do you know? Because I'm looking at them. I've got it here in front of me, and I still can't decide if they're white or silver. But it definitely looks smarter than a British one. I much prefer it that way around. Don't know what anybody else thinks. I think the white or silver numbers on a black background are better than the black numbers on a white background. Controversial. Because do the CB162 telephones have a drawer in the 1930s? I wouldn't have thought a CB phone, central battery phone, would have had a drawer, because central battery phones also don't have dials, do they? So you wouldn't need the directory of numbers that you put in the little drawer. So logically, I wouldn't have thought they would have the drawer. But, having said that, I'm not certain. But logically speaking, they wouldn't have the drawer because a CB phone not having a dial on it, you don't need the directory of numbers because you can't dial a number. You have to ring the operator and say, can you put me through to so-and-so, please? But I suppose you say, can you put me through to, and then give her a number, don't you? You know, like, can you put me through to such and such a place, 1, 2, 3, and then she puts you through. So perhaps you would still have it, because perhaps you would still need to know the numbers. I don't know. I just simply don't know. Fat Hobby says, probably a stupid question, but does anyone know why the original phone design used a dial rather than push buttons? Right. Yes, it's to do with clockwork. Because the dial pulses to wind against a, when you dial a number, you're actually winding against a spring that then returns under its own power. And when it returns under its own power, depending on what number you've dialed up to, depends on how many pulses back it does, and that's the easy way of doing the pulses. And as Wesley says, to create pulses mechanically. So if you dial up to, let's say, 6 and it goes back, it goes dick 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 dick. You know, or just 2, just goes dick dick, and it's to get the pulses going back. To do it with push buttons, it would be much more difficult mechanically, without any electronics, to get the pulses, to do the pulses. I suppose it would be possible, but you've also got to have them timed right as well. But of course, you don't really need a dial at all if you're good at tapping, because you can dial by tapping on the switch hooks, as I can demonstrate here. If I dial, right, what is this on? This is on 21, isn't it? I think that's on 22 down there. Is it 20? Is it 22 there? Yeah, I think. So if I dial on this, if I go, the phone on the wall is now ringing. It's very quiet, you can't hear it, but it is ringing. If I do it on the one on the wall, then that one will ring. If I tap the switch hook on this American thing on the wall and tap 2 and then 1, like that, you see, it rings the one on the desk. So really, I don't know why they didn't just fit a button and say tap the button. It didn't just fit like a Morse code key, because you would have been able to do it that way. There is a story, and I don't know if this is just an urban myth or if this is true, that when Mercury in the early 1980s started putting their phone boxes up, the coin mechanism in Mercury phone boxes basically switched off the dial. It didn't switch off the line. So if you went into a Mercury phone box and didn't put any money in, you couldn't make a call because you couldn't dial. But if you knew how to do the thing tapping the switch hooks, you could make a call from a Mercury phone box for free, because the coin mechanism only energized the dial or de-energized the dial when it ran out of money. It didn't de-energize the line. I don't know if that's an urban myth or not, or if it's true, but they do say that by tapping the switch hooks you could make calls from Mercury phone boxes in the early 80s. Is that true or not? Wesley, the man who often comes to answer these questions, is that true? Could you tap out of a Mercury phone box? Fat Hobbit says tapping sounds closer to the original telegram system. I suppose it is, isn't it? You know, the telegram system, it was Morse code, really, wasn't it? So yeah. Christopher says the white numbers on the Australian dial 12 I put photos of GPO or GEC 711 or 741 in Australia Railway signal box on the forum. Excellent, Christopher. Go to the forum, have a look. gpotelephones.proboards.com. Fat Hobbit says it sounds entirely possible given that it was Mercury. Yeah, it's just a story I heard years ago, but unfortunately I heard it after Mercury phone boxes had disappeared. So I was never able to try it. But yeah, that's the story, that you could tap on a Mercury phone box and make free telephone calls. It's probably why they went out of business in the end. Christopher says, I dial from my CB162 phones by pulsing the switch hook. Yeah, exactly, you can do it. I test telephones that way. It's an easy way. If you've got a telephone that won't dial out, it's an easy way of testing if it's a problem with the dial, because it kind of overrides the dial. So if you've got a phone that won't dial out, try and tap out on the switch hooks, and if you then successfully make the call, you know the problem's actually with the dial mechanism. I do it all the time to test dials. Right, I think that might be about as far as we go for one day today. Just a big thank you today to Dominic, I've got to say, who came out and about filming with us yesterday for an upcoming episode of Escape the Shed. It will be out soon. Patrons will have already seen a little sneaky preview of a couple of photos. If you want to become a patron yourself too, for just the equivalent of $1 per month, then you can join us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/AndyShed. As I say, it's just the equivalent of $1 per month, and every little bit of that goes back into the shows, so we can keep doing what we do basically. And the Escape the Shed that's coming up with Dominic is a good one. If you're into abandoned railways, don't miss it. It's going to be an absolute classic. Right, I think that is about as far as we are on for this week. Thanks to everybody for taking part once again. Next week, I'm not quite sure yet what's happening. So it might be a slightly different show next week. I'm not entirely sure what's happening next week yet. But yeah, yeah. So it might be slightly different. Might be recorded. Might be part recorded, part live. I'm not quite sure, but it might be a bit different next week. Because I've got a few things to do in the week, so it might be a bit strange. So bear with us if it's not normal service as usual next week. It should still be on around about 6 o'clock though. So from me for now. Oh, one more thing I've got to say is don't forget on Thursday the virtual repair cafe with the people from Sheffield. If you want to take part in that, there is a link on the Repair Sheffield website, which is sheffieldrepaircafe.coldpress.net. That's sheffieldrepaircafe.coldpress.net. There's a link on there to take part between 7 and 8:30 and the virtual repair cafe on Thursday evening. It also live streams on this very YouTube channel as well, so if you just want to watch, you can watch it on YouTube. So from me for now, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye everybody. Bye.